Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former Terran world champion in the blue. It's Micro Jackson, ByuN, and his greatest frenemy and player ranked #1 in the world by Dark on the other side in the red. The final boss. It's Dark. A best of 5 Terran versus Zerg finals. And we're starting things off with Post Youth. And if you're not sure whether that's a personal attack or the name of the first map, either way it'd be awesome. If you could like, and if you haven't made it there yet, maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? What? 1,373 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my Post Youth. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Here we go again. Dark versus ByuN. A rematch of the most epic BlizzCon finals. And however many hundreds of matches they played since then. ByuN? Well, the most dramatic back and forth was ByuN winning about 9 out of 10 of their online tournament matches, and then Dark just walking through him in both GSL and at DreamHack. So, Dark essentially sandbagging, hustling ByuN online, and then coming in and sweeping the prize out from under him, which is a typical final boss move. But with that in mind, starting things off, of course, we have your 3 command centers on the high ground. The Terrans always feel like they can get away with this, and here on Post Youth with a single wide ramp up to the mixed gold and just main base in general. It's almost certain he can, no matter how many overlords try to fly in and nudge the buildings out of the way as they work around the add-ons. Dark not going to be able to slow this down, but instead just try to exploit the situation entirely. Reaper slips behind. Sir, young man, or at least younger man, please. Private property. Brenda. Never mind. The Reaper. It was a command center first. It looks like I gotta be on. So the Reaper not in time to really delay much of the creep spread, but just keep tabs on what the Queens and the Zerglings are up to, which for most players is not going to be particularly creative, but with Dark, there could be roaches ready to pop out at pretty much literally any time, so. But somewhat interestingly, not a single roach horn. Well, usually you only have one, but you got the idea. Not a roach horn at all out of Dark, but instead, one of those mass Zergling games, as usually if you're going to get the roach horn, it'd be starting by about that 4-minute mark, maybe 4:20 or so as the Hellions start blazing through. But Viking going to knock out the Overlord like an overripe tomato. It will get in, and well, there's not much else for it to see. He doesn't know that the starport switched over to the tech lab for the Cloak Banshees, which is the most likely swerve of early tech. Double engineering, baby. The greediest Terran build. He's going to go for like 6-8 Hellions, a couple Cloak Banshees, and then spend the next 2 or 3 minutes building up the entirety of his infrastructure, as ByuN is going for his upgrades before his production facilities. Which means, if Dark was to find some sort of timing in the next minute or two, well, that's what the Banshees are for, really. Oh, the Viking knocks out another Overlord, as the Queen looks on, lamenting its grounded nature. Dark actually a little supply block from that, but recovering now. A mild respite. 1-1 on the way for both sides. ByuN's going to have a 30-second or so lead on it. But Dark choosing upgrades before lair as he gets not just a 4th, but a 5th base at the gold as well. So a full-on macro game to start things off. Neither player willing to commit to any sort of early aggression when they could be building up that massive economy. That just means when we finally clash, it's going to be much more dramatic. And that should start right around the first medevacs coming out. As that's the point where Terrans feel safe enough to actually mosey on out of their base when they have almost a guaranteed evacuation route. They'll be a bit supply blocked as well. A bit slow on those medevacs, but we'll get there. And Banshees, Cloak past. A Reaper actually manages to pick off some creep tumors. He saw the Banshee. He either saw the shimmer of the Cloak, or he anticipated it, because Dark moved his Spore Crawler into position right before the Banshees came in. So the attempt at the pre-cloak there, nothing gets past Dark's wizened eyes. It's a bit optimistic. Dark's at 85. That's just obscene. 85 drones. That's too many. Like, you can use them, but 85 drones at 6.5 minutes is redonkulous. That's a technical term. All right, look it up. Hydra Den on the way. 112 more hatcheries as he just zergs the entire map. The queens don't have any detection here for now. One queen. Oh no, not Susan again. Oh, Brenda, you put her in front. Shut up, Terran. Shut up. I knew you'd throw that in my face. 1-1 is now completed for Dark, but it's like punching a bowl of water here, as Dark will have so much economy. ByuN's going to have a thin window to actually get any damage done before Dark's 7 or so hatcheries come online. And there's almost no level of production that's going to match that from ByuN on 3 bases. He comes back. Every step back decreases the chances of being able to move forward. ByuN comes back again. Dark has only 44 Zerglings. They're all committed here on the field. He's buying time. He needs to get Bane speed. He needs to get groovy spines for the Hydras. But if he does that, and he has the creep already over halfway across the map, Dark is going to have, as I mentioned, a redonkulous level of production. And the combat shield is just now finishing. This is ByuN's best opportunity before maxing out to get some damage done. The Banshee's trying to stem the tide of the Zerglings, but they will rotate around, maybe looking for a flank on the main army. As a siege tank on the high ground, even the Spore Crawler retreats from this position, maintaining what he can on the field. The gold base, but here comes Dark. The Zergling streaming in. Banelings behind. Siege tank fire. Good shots onto the Banes, and Dark may actually end up losing the gold. He, of course, has more hatcheries to fall back, or maybe to the side, too. 2-2s on the way for both sides as ByuN continues his momentum forward. The army supplies are dead even. We've got 107 to 105, slightly in favor of ByuN. The Banshee's still on the field, mostly uncontested, and somewhat ironically, the Viking gets taken down by Zerglings. Queens, but Dark is, once again, like, you push him out of one side and he just squeezes to the others. The flubber of Zergs. 2-2. He's trying to wait out those upgrades. He's pretty confident. He has the economy and he has the production. He can afford to get one of his limbs chopped off because he'll grow 2 more, something the Terran's just not nearly as strong at doing. The Hydras, the Lings, and the Banes. A massive flank on the minimap. You see it there. And 2-2 about to finish literally within a second for both sides. And here comes Dark, literally coming in at the exact second the upgrade's complete. Crushes the siege tanks, overruns the Marines, and the rest of the Terran army is fully routed. The siege tank is run down. The Marines and the medevacs, but that won't save the rest of them underneath. The siege tank desperately trying to find some banelings to retarget. Marines dropping out at an odd angle, but Dark just runs over the field. The banelings, the splits are good. I can't believe it's not butter. That spread was beautiful, but 16 SCVs dead. And Dark still has the level of production he did before. Nothing is stopping him from doing that again and again and again and again and again. ByuN down 60 supply. 11 more Hydras, a dozen more Banes, and too many Zerglings. Dark rips the Terrans off the field. And he still has the hatcheries. He started a hive. He didn't rush hive this time, instead chose to match ByuN on the field. Well, overmatch, I guess, would be more accurate. ByuN doing a capable job of putting Marines out there, but Dark is firing on all cylinders and whatever other shapes are most economically feasible. Take down the rock tower. Always an awkward map design there, but an interesting one. Dark is maxed out yet again. Catches the reinforcement. ByuN, half his army is across the map. The rest strung out. Banelings trying to take down the Marines on all sides. A drop over to the left flank shut down. There are too many Hydras here. GG. Dark with a comfortable victory in game number 1 as he crushes ByuN. That's... Oh, they both went for the full-on sit-down and no-rush 6-minute macro game. Yes, if this was the Bronze League Heroes, it'd be 20 minutes, but for these players, you can't let Dark get 85 drones. That's a capital offense. All right. Capital G, that is. So, Dark with a crushing victory in game 1. We go to Alcyone for game number 2, and ByuN has barracks all ready. Where are you going? Where are you going, SCV? Overlord. Oh my god, he knows him too well. I'm pretty sure that pathing is just a couple pixels in range. Dark has played ByuN more times than almost everyone watching this has played ladder games in total. I think their total matches ever is over 500. Okay, so I might be underestimating the average viewer. Just to give you some credit. Oh, no, he adjusted! He adjusted it! Why? And that means ByuN. Oh, you sneaky Terran devil. His original pathing would have caught it, but instead, he cut a bit of a corner there. And now, well, ByuN has an angle to get the damage done. It's just to hide. So, somewhat ironically, the scouting for proxies means that ByuN's mind game isn't going to work as well. Because he's not going to have an Overlord going across the map, so we won't see the one barracks at home. This is just a second Reaper coming in, another like 10 seconds quicker. That is all this is accomplishing now. And Dark is already anticipating some Reapers here. So, will that extra 10 seconds make the difference? It very well may. It is odd that he put the drone down. Oh! Move over, Shakespeare. Dark is making the plays. Well, he jukes out the Reaper. So the Reaper was trying to body block the Extractor, which is something it can do. Oh my god, these Reapers. But, oh, Brenda, get over here. 1 HP! And that's just offensive. If the Queen was a little bit quicker on the draw, but she's not as spry as she used to be. Before the war. So, ByuN may have enough Reapers to deny the third base. A bit of an awkward start here. Really, and throwing the grenades too. Add a little bit of extra damage. ByuN wishing you hadn't got those grenades nerfed twice now. Sir! And that's gonna be a no. Denied entry. The grenades, Brenda bouncing around. And it is still quite an awkward position for Dark. Thankfully, his Overlord wandered into the base. And we'll see pretty much all the relevant information. He actually doesn't see what's happening at the front, but seeing the third command center, the double gas, that's enough info for Dark to really make educated decisions. And then, depending on how he feels, to studiously ignore them. But we will see. A somewhat awkward start to the game, as ByuN's Reapers are able to accomplish their objective of delaying the third and limiting Dark's economy. But, again, he's going to have quite a window without much more than your early harass units here. So we will see if Dark chooses to exploit that window, or allow it to pass in favor of crushing him later on. I love when Dark goes full Zerg. There's something about the way Dark plays that's so different than Cyril. which it's not as perfect, but it feels cinematic. That last game, like 8 hatcheries, unlimited Zerglings, ByuN, one of the best Terrans in the world, literally beating Dark for the World Championship in the past. Just getting completely overrun. Effectively reenacting the Heart of the Swarm cinematic. Even down to the Vikings getting destroyed by the Zerg. I don't think any other player truly embodies the race they're playing as much as Dark does with Zerg. Yeah, like, to reverse, like, Cyril's the perfect swordsman, whereas Dark is like Doom guy. Rip and tear. This time around, though, Dark is much later on the upgrades. ByuN's going to have a full upgrade advantage. Literally finishing 1-1 before Dark's Evo chambers are done. Which, that's, last game was about even. This is not. So, there's quite a window for ByuN to do his signature Marine Medevac micro and get a lot of mileage out of it. Combat shield isn't done, but you don't need combat shield if they can't touch you. The creep spread. Oh, and some Hellbats as well. Dark has been building up Zerglings, but here comes ByuN. The Hellbats, no Baneling nest. The Queens doing their best. Oh, just roasting the Lings, gunning down the Queens. And wow. ByuN just slices through. And now ByuN strikes back with a decisive victory. We're all tied up 1-1. Neither side giving any quarter, nor nickels, nor dimes in this process. As ByuN, I don't know what Dark invested, but he was thrown off, it seems, completely by those Reapers. And it's not going to cut it. Being down 2 upgrades against Hellbats and Marines, you need Banelings or Roaches, of which he had neither. So, Dark on the receiving end of things. ByuN still fully capable. Jimmy, shouldn't it be reversed? I have this debate every time. Let me know after you like and subscribe in the comments. Since Dark is on the bottom left side of the map, but I think left to right takes precedence over up versus down. Like, it kind of feels like ByuN should be first on the nameplates, but I think on maps like this, I think it depends on the angle as well. Like, if it's a diagonal, it's a little different, but this is kind of like, I think Dark on the left goes on the top side of the nameplates. All right, I have spoken. And I will continue to speak, because that's kind of the entire reason I'm here. Gold base for ByuN. Dark, not as ambitious. It is, of course, much harder to actually hold that gold as the Zerg, as opposed to Terran. Of course, if this trend of difficult games for Dark continues, I'm going back to the sandbagging. I don't even think it's intentional. I think it's just Dark steps up to the occasion. Like, with ByuN beating him almost every single series and then getting crushed in the biggest matches. It truly feels like Dark is the only player who can legitimately say after losing a match, I wasn't even trying, bro. The age-old gamer excuse of like, yeah, but it wasn't even like, I wasn't even really trying. Why weren't you trying? Like, what's the point of only half trying? Don't quarter ass or half ass, full ass it. Speaking of, where's the wall? There's a single depot with the wall. The Zerglings just slipped by because, well, this is why, like, there's just Zerglings at his base. What do you want me to say? This is not... The border control policies of the Terran are clearly not working out here. The Zerg aren't sending their best. They're sending their Zerglings, and then also more Zerglings. That's the whole process. He loses 5 SCVs to 6 Lings walking in his base. That is unacceptable. That... And walking they did. Well, like, a light jog, or whatever the speed challenge Lings do. Ah. Sorry. There's some... The hero syndrome. Except Terrans have no excuse for not walling off against Zerglings. That's just lazy. Dark did invest a little bit of his early economy in building those Lings, but I think that pays off. Not only do you get in and kill SCVs, you get a full scout. When you're in their base, killing their SCVs, you can take a look around and see that 3rd command center, see the 111, see that there's really no major threat coming at you besides probably Hellions and Banshees. Roaches, just kind of scampering across. Lairs on the way. The Banshees are the built-in defense, but the Roaches are one of the most appropriately named units in the game. Just very annoying to deal with, relatively cheap. You can get a lot of them. The Banshees will take them down a bit. Like, this is one Roach. It's one Roach. Yet, a real threat to the mining here. And he knows the Banshee's coming, so he scampers away. And they truly do scamper, don't they? How many legs does a Roach have? It's 6, right? I don't think the things on whatever those are. More Roaches at the natural as Dark. Just poke it in. Now taking the outer gold. A lot easier to defend. You don't want to be pinned up, letting the Terrans use a mineral wall against you. A couple more Roaches over here. Melting through the rocks. It's going to take a while, but laudable effort. Yep, there they go. Everybody, get out of the way! Pre-cloaking the Banshees yet again. He already saw the Banshees. The Roach! Alright. Ah, yes. Bartholomew Charles Esquire III. The first and last, well, actually the third of his name, here to make sure to inspect the safety of this workplace and make sure the Terrans keep it well protected. Please respect him, or at least file a form of respect in triplicate. He will finally die, but his work is done, so the Terrans will learn to respect their mineral lines. Meanwhile, Dark is speeding towards lurkers, unless there's a small chance he tries Swarm Host, but that doesn't make any sense right now. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm saying that that's likely. There's the Hive. The Hydra Den on the way. Roach speed about to complete. 1-1. It's going to be ranged attack upgrade, so definitely focused on that Roach Hydra composition. Meanwhile, ByuN is at 64 SCVs. There's the groovy spawns. Hydra range. Where's the Lunker Den? Kind of surprised we don't see it. Vipers are always the premium choice when Hive finishes. More than anything else. Viper's one of the best. Wow, this base layout. Learning from those Brood War players. Pretty sure it doesn't get stuck. I'm pretty sure when there's a hard wall off, they'll just go around. But now it looks like ByuN gonna try to work from the inside out with the Marine drops. Yeah. Now. So, Dark, by expanding on the outside, avoided this happening. So now the Marines are pretty committed. That's the difference here. When you expand to the outside, well, he gunned down every Hydra, so he gets away anyways, because of course he does. That Hydra, oh my god, that Hydra. Oh, missed the shot. And the Marines get out. So it doesn't seem to matter as ByuN manages to carve his way through and find an escape route. And now the attack is coming together. The Viper's halfway done. So I think this attack timing comes down to whether or not the Vipers are ready by the time the tanks are in range. It's gonna be close. They still need to gather some energy for Blinding Cloud. Abduct is a little easier to get to, but Blinding Cloud is usually the premium choice. He's consuming the hatchery that is about to be under attack. Always a precarious predicament. But here comes Dark from all sides. Corrosive Bile on the back line. Takes down the tank. Takes down 2 in just a full surround. Over 180 degrees. ByuN walked into it. And Dark didn't even need the Vipers. The fact that he still has the Vipers at the... I feel like deja vu here. He already had the Banshees there. But they're back again. Gonna try to find something. The Banshees didn't do much besides playing Whack-A-Roach in the early game, so... Meanwhile... Yeah, they'll get a few drone kills, and Dark actually pretty low on the drone count overall, but this unit composition doesn't require nearly the economy that the Ling Bane does. Gets the Blinding Clouds on the back. The Marines are forced to fight forward, but there are no Banelings here. So that actually makes it a little awkward. Now, still though, the Marine count is not quite high enough. He needs those upgrades. More Corrosive Bows forcing the micro back. Easily Stutter steps out of the way. But the sheer biomass is so much as Dark just leans on him. If the 2-2 upgrades were finished for the Marines, this would look a lot different. But now it's looking bleak for ByuN. 10 SCVs dead alongside the command center. Down to 3 bases. Dark is still streaming things across. Throws up the Corrosive Biles. And Dark brings in the Roaches. And knocks him out. That's 2-1 for Dark. At least so far. Showing another unit composition. And swinging it well into his favor. ByuN not really respecting the Ravager Roach Hydra. You know, you can't just let 6 Zerglings in your base. You can't, like, you just wall off. It's like, no, I save 16 minerals in mining if I build the barracks slightly closer to my mineral line. It's like, yeah, but how many minerals do you save when you lose 5 SCVs to Zerglings? Okay, counterpoint. Shut up. Well, at least there's a wall off of sorts this time. It's going to be a 2 racks for ByuN. Leaning on the at least 3pers. I just go back to one of the first times, at least in modern StarCraft 2 in the last couple of years, when ByuN started doing this build, and it was ByuN who started it. Where he was facing, guess who? Dark. And he did the build 3 or 4 times in a row. In a finals. And like the 3rd time, after failing twice, Dark asked, how many times are you going to do this? Because Reapers hadn't been used for quite a while. And ByuN said, until I win. Lo and behold, he won the next game. And then he tried it again and he lost, I think. But it's become not the most common, but definitely in the secondary tier of openers. Maybe a little bit more common for ByuN himself, but as the Reapers just give you so much map control. When you have micro of the level of ByuN, even Dark, like, there's only so much Zerg can do. There are no units as fast as the Reaper. There are no units that heal as well as the Reaper. There are no units that jump up and down cliffs. There's no way to really engage them. But Dark may choose to ignore them entirely. As he's got Roaches, he's just gonna smack them with the Roaches. Alright. Dark has had enough. He's ready to end this right here and right now. As he only has 19 drones. I think this is what he wanted to do on Alcyone, but he decided against it. The Roaches are on the way across. How much gas is he still mining? He wants some Ravagers. A forward bunker for ByuN. Pops the Roaches. Here come the Ravagers. And now, well, there's going to be one Marauder which is quite helpful, but a whole bunch of Zerglings. This is not just a timing. This is an all-in out of dark. He only has 19 drones. He's not building any more. He's got a lot of Zerglings. Zergling speed is completed. If he overruns the bunker, well, then the Zerglings will come streaming through. He's hiding them back. In fact, I'm kind of surprised at how far back they are, but he's bringing them up now. ByuN only pulled one SCV. That seems a little underwhelming. The Zerglings are the kicker. If he's expecting just Roach Ravager and the Zerglings come in, his entire army is committed. Already throws out the Corrosive Bow. One SCV is not nearly enough to repair. The army is overrun outside the walls, and the enemy is on the field. The Marauder is ripped to shreds. The Reapers are trying to retreat back to the high ground. They may make it, but what is left? A Marauder and a Marine? The Reapers are retreating from the Zerglings. The Roaches and Ravagers are breaking through. Some scattered Corrosive Bow manages to sidestep. But every split second he's not doing damage is another second the Dark is slaughtering SCVs. Another wave of Corrosive Bow manages to dodge it perfectly. But 10 SCVs dead, and the Ravagers are still going. He pulls more boys from the high ground, as he needs to keep these army units intact. But another wave of Corrosive Bile helps knock out the Marauder, and Dark just rips him apart. 3 games to 1. Dark with the comfortable victory. The decisive... God. Playing such top tier and intimidating Zerg, and ByuN just not keeping up with it. But that brings us to our bonus game of ByuN versus Rogue. Honestly, I wasn't sure how that match would go, but I'd like to see, because Rogue is included in the conversation of like best Zerg players of all time, maybe best players of all time, but hasn't shown as much success as he did, you know, back in the days. Just came back from his military service, so. But hopefully you enjoyed, and try not to get caught in the deja vu this time. Jimmy, this is the right game, right? Yes. It's going to be a little hard because Rogue is replacing Dark in the same positions on the same map. But if you enjoyed, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe as well. I know it's annoying to keep reminding of it, but I like to think that people who don't mind it, you gloss over it. But a few people, it may remind you. I know. It's not always... Like, I would rather watch in full screen, or at least theater mode. Do you watch with your phone on the side? You guys have phones. Or if I'm watching YouTube videos on my personal computer. Why did I say it like that? The old time, back in my PC. No, okay, let's just edit this whole part out, Jimmy. Anyways, I only watch in theater mode. I don't understand the savages who watch in like normal YouTube box mode. That is... Ugh. Don't trust those people. No offense. If you're watching right now in the normal box and not theater mode on PC, well, get some help. We don't record this with so many pixels for you to ignore it like it's GSL in 2010 and you can barely tell what the supply count is in the corner. Which was also before we had observer overlays that made it a lot easier to see everything. And also we had more than like 480p, but... Anyways, Rogue trying... Wait, no, that's not Rogue. ByuN with the Reapers yet again, but Rogue... Can you believe it? ByuN joined for mass. Marines. Gonna follow it up. Rogue with 3 hatcheries completed. Plenty of queens on the way. A much more typical macro defense. Not choosing to try to punish the early Reapers with roaches. And ByuN's just waltzing across with an expeditionary force of like 6 Marines and 2 Reapers. So, Brenda, is that everyone? Is that all they have? Well, why did we leave the overlords out there? Shut up, Karen. shut up. All right. Well, ByuN just waltzes across with those early Marines and knocks down a couple Overlords. A Zergling gets in, and we'll see that ByuN does not have a third command center. So everything right now should be sunk into the defense for Rogue. As ByuN goes mass Marines. His favorite unit. Well, both of his favorite units, Reapers and Marines, literally nothing else. Rogue does not have Banelings. He doesn't have that much energy on the Queens. This is hitting hard and fast. The combat shield isn't done. You gotta be real careful. That combat shield negates the early stims. Without it, but he's buying every second has more Zerglings popping out. So he hits the stim. That's way too many lings. Wow, okay, well this... It's a slaughterhouse. Call an ambulance. But not for the Zerg. So, Rogue behind it. 14 drones in production. The moment it was clear he was going to completely crush that attack is when he began spamming out the drones. As makes plenty of sense. And now, actually terrified of a counterattack, ByuN puts up a bunker on the low ground and the high ground, and is now, wow, he's creating a quite a tower defense setup here at the natural. But Rogue does not have Banelings behind. I think the sheer amount of lings really led ByuN to believe it was going to be a huge counterattack. And Rogue reached deep into his economy to make those lings. He was down on workers, so ByuN is not in a terrible spot economically at all, because Rogue committed so much to crushing those Marines. But it's very hard for ByuN to know exactly the state the game is in, because he doesn't have medevacs to keep control of the creep, because he doesn't have really anything else out on the map. He has no indicator besides not currently being overrun by Zerglings as to what Rogue is doing. So he's left with this massive blind spot, and he literally has to cover his bases. He's so scared of a massive all-in. I bet Dark has put that fear in his heart. But Rogue is up to 69. Well, added a couple spores in. It's only 67 drones, but nice enough for now. And 10 more on the way. He started his 1-1, but ByuN is going to have his +1 attack upgrade, as well as medevacs out on the field. And this will give him an opportunity to do some aggressive scouting, which is what it really comes down to. Putting yourself out there and forcing the Zerg to respond, both to limit their economy and to get a gauge of the situation in the game entirely. We've got Overlord Speed Barrow, Baneling speed as well. So ByuN, if he wasn't sure before, has now confirmed that that Rogue has no intentions of doing some sort of all-in, but instead has been going for a huge economy. And this, I think we get a unfair sample, because ByuN keeps going for these Marine builds, but it feels like we only end up showing the games where it gets crushed. But the reason ByuN keeps playing against these top-tier players is because most of the time, it doesn't get crushed. It's only these moments that create the most interesting games that we end up here. But ByuN just bops almost every Zerg out there that really isn't named Dark or occasionally Rogue. And of course, Serral, but we don't get that opportunity to watch very often, because the Marine control is just so good. It's just these players have anticipated it and dealt with it perfectly. Marines again. I'll expect some of us in the wreckage brothers. The Queens will politely yet firmly push the medevacs away. And now we have +2/+2 on the way for Rogue, who has so many Zerglings. 100 Zerglings out on the field, with dozens of Banelings as well. 175 supply. ByuN has an uphill battle to fight, literally and to an extent figuratively. Targets down the creep tumors underneath. Rogue is already replacing them before the medevacs are even out of range. And Burrow is done. We'll see. Well, maybe there will be some Baneling mines out in the field. Hive begins. Rogue not neglecting that late game tech. Vipers at the very least. 3 more racks on the way. Marines. He's bleeding out a few each time. The creep is inexorable. Working its way through both sides of the map. Center. Taking a little bit. Is that triple factory? I love it. Mass siege tank. Is certainly a way to go about things. Ever since the Widowmine nerf, Terrans have seemed to rediscover the power of siege tanks, which have not been changed in any dramatic way besides the armory being cheaper, which allows you to get the upgrades more quickly. So, it's kind of a indirect buff to siege tanks. But definitely not something... not an unworthy choice in the late game. And personally, I far prefer watching it, so I am not unhappy at all. Vehicle weapons level 1 completed. Ultralisk Cavern. Spire. Adrenal glands. 2-2 on the way. As Rogue gets, well, everything else. I know. Does he have any Vipers? No, he has 164 Zerglings and he's maxed out, so he can't get any Vipers. Which is actually a mistake. I'd say probably, and he's building more. He has 168 Zerglings. And dozens of Banes. But, despite the sheer number, he kills 10 SCVs, but in that battle ends up losing 80 Lings. ByuN ends up killing as many... Wow. He killed 1 tank, like 6 Marines, and 10 SCVs. Oh, but the Queen! Get off my Queen! Brenda, oh my god! I appreciate the sentiment, but you need to just calm down. You calm down! Okay. Rogue. Still, with hundreds of Lings on the field. 4 Ultras in production. ByuN given a slight reprieve because the first wave was not as devastating as it could have been, but another wave is ready. 3 tanks at a time. The ghosts are on the field. Pretty decent for just basic attacks, but there's not that many Banelings in here. Not that the SCVs are going to be particularly... Nope, Vipers are needed. That's too many siege tanks. How many tanks on the field? 10. And he's building 3 at a time. Without Vipers, even the Ultras, the siege tank's able to take big bites out of them. And having any amount of ghosts... Well, we'll see. As the Banelings were trapping in one of the Ultralists. More ghosts on the way, but really locking things down here. Another wave. The Ultras getting a bit stalled out. Some snipes come off. The Ultras are really eating up the shots, though. ByuN losing a lot of those siege tanks. The Ghosts out of energy. Actually stutter-stepping to chase down. Zerglings get another 11 SCVs, but the Mules drop. As Rogue loads up another round. 5 more Ultras. 60 more Zerglings. Plenty of orbital commands for ByuN. But Rogue has the rest of the map. How many? Oh, both players looking to expand to the northern side. Another wave. Melee attacks level 3 about to complete. Infantry weapons level 3 as well. Rogue comes in. That did not go nearly as well. 6 Overlords, Dropper Lords being loaded up. ByuN in his best fight so far, but there's still so many Ultras. Rogue understands that quantity is a quality all its own. And right now, very intent on demonstrating that as another 100 Zerglings enter production. so many Zerglings. But ByuN is pretty close to maxing out. A mass Zergling drop. Operation Overlord will begin. Looking for a beachhead here on Oceanborn. And the natural, potentially vulnerable. The Marines, boosted back. There should be enough reinforcements to deal with this with the medevac here. And there will be. These Zerglings will likely all die. The question is how much they take with them. And meanwhile, ByuN defending against the Ultras. The siege tanks starting to choke them off as well. But they will be taken out. Rogue loads up 70 more Zerglings and 3 more Ultralisks. Oh my. ByuN just besieged by waves upon waves of Zerglings and Banelings. Rogue has 3 Ultras, 3 more in production, 25 Banelings. The Liberators, there's still some burrowed lings. 40 more Banelings. So many Banelings. Rogue has finished the hatchery. The command center can't even land. Changelings taken down. Queen. Another wave. And the Liberators pulled back. Maybe a bit too soon as another wave of lings. Oh my god, those cracklings rip apart the siege tanks. As ByuN on tenuous footing, as the Zerglings continue to rain down. A planetary at the front, but Rogue keeps dropping to the side. And he's dragged so much of the army supply back. ByuN is clearly anticipating an attack at the front. He's got another zoning planetary. But Rogue has enough to rebuild again, and again, and again. Not a single Viper, not a single Infestor, just Ultras, Lings, and Banelings, as another wave of Banes rolls in. ByuN, though, still holding. The Ultras will chew through the planetary fortress. 5 more. There are Ultras in the net. I don't even know how they got here. There's a ghost that's walled in. The Ultra taken down. 5 more Ultras. 50 more Zerglings. A dozen more Banelings. The hatchery was taken out to the north, but ByuN is doing damage control for the last 10 minutes straight. ByuN can't seem to build up that ghost-based army. He can't seem to find the critical mass of Terran, as Rogue is overrunning him all across the field, and sometimes even inside the base. But here comes another wave. No planetary to stall it out. The Ghost not landing the snipes on the Ultras nearly quickly enough. The Overseers are there to prevent the cloak. He's chopping through, and it appears ByuN's back has been broken. GG, Rogue. It doesn't matter how many you lose. It matters how much you have to replace them. Wow, the units lost tab really sticks out. Not because of the quantity, but sheer, that's a man sticking to his principles. 671 Zerglings, 100 Banelings, and that's just the ones that died before attacking. And 15 Ultras and 3 Queens. Only a single hatchery. Rogue sticking to the units he wanted. If you didn't see his matches in StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2, the SC Evo matches, he did the exact same thing playing StarCraft 1. It'd be awesome if you could check that out as well. Though he was building 13 Corruptors at the end to wipe the Liberators out. But hopefully you enjoyed this spread of ByuN getting bullied by the Zerg. Yeah, looking a little one-sided this time. But ByuN, a great punching bag to make games entertaining, and hopefully you agree. And hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. I had a lot of fun with these. I hope you did too. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. And if you're still paying attention to the generic outro segment, it'd be awesome if you could check out the second channel. For those who don't know, Stormgate Early Access is releasing in a couple weeks. I believe July 30th. So if you're watching this video when I have 10 million subscribers next year, well, it's probably already out. But if you haven't checked out the second channel, Winter Gaming TV, and find it in the description or just, search it. And that's where most of the videos, we're still going to have some over here, but we're still focused on StarCraft here for now. But there's more hours in the day, so make sure to check it out if you haven't yet. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.